morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, CEO, founder of East Coast Sports Investors, the Breakfast Bankroll. Today, from Cape Cod to Cancun, from Tampa to Taipei, from Vegas to the Vatican, we got you covered on the weekend results, today's market, some NFL talks. Yes, the Yankees are human, and much, much more. Without further ado, my co-host, the man from Tampa, the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, what is up?
Hey, Jeff, good morning. And boy, I'm glad I don't live in Louisiana, right? So hope those folks out there are hunkered down. And, I've been through some storms myself and nothing like that one. So let's hope and pray they succeed and come out okay.
Yeah, we have a handful of clients in the Louisiana area, and I spoke to them earlier this week, and actually as of yesterday, and they were basically told to head on out of Dodge. So have some friends and family that are bunkered down in hotels. God bless, be safe. I know a week ago we were getting ready for something that just fizzled out, went too far west, but we were looking at a Cat 1 at most. I mean, this is the real deal here. So no hero plays, please, and be safe.
Yep, that's kind of how it goes these days. I think the biggest one I've been through is a Category 3 storm, and I stayed and decided that that was enough for me. I would never go through anything bigger than a Category 3. It was a little scary night, and it is what it is. So, I guess that's the way it goes sometimes when you live around the water.
I'm going to start the show here. We've had a few days off. The past few weeks on an off day that we missed, we had internet issues between ourselves and other guests and stuff. This week, it was traffic issues. One from a guest, and then on the back end was me. So you just never know what occurs in these lanes here. But I've talked at length for the last few weeks how the market in baseball especially has really, really shifted. Again, this week especially, they've just made it almost impossible to, really dig in. We've talked about the layers and layers that we are extending to try to find some value, some edges, for our clients and family here. And just spinning our tires this week, we've gotten hooked a few times. Sloppy play. We lost 2 games earlier this week on errors. And I know it's part of the game and stuff, but the consistency, Scotty, just not seeing it right now.
Well, I think that some of that might come back to the fact that, these guys are 60 games last season, and they're at what, 120 or something like that right now. That's 70, and they're about 140 now.
Yes.
So they only have 25 games left or so in some of these cases. So one of these announcers, and I don't really play much into what announcers say too much, but I heard him say that he got speaking to one of the players, and they told him that they are winded and they are tired, and that could be, I don't know. I know that the starting pitchers aren't going deep in games, and part of that is because they're just trying to keep their arms healthy. Some of these guys are at 26 starts already. So when you start to look at where they're at and what the league is doing, I think they're just trying to save their players from being injured, number one, and then number two, if you're in a playoff run, you've got to man up and get out there and play. So, and it's interesting, you talk about a playoff run, right? We talk about like the National League, and we know that the Dodgers and the Giants are in. We don't know who the next team's going to be. I was on the show last week and said something about the Reds, and I don't have any issues with that prediction at all. I think the Reds are going to be there, and the Padres aren't. But having said that, that doesn't change the fact that the Giants and the Dodgers want to win the West. They don't want to be in that one game playoff. So these games are important to these teams. So even though they got the best records in baseball, because they're right there with each other, they're going to have to play this out and see how it goes. And the Dodgers got Kershaw, or not Kershaw, but they got Scherzer, and he is just something else for that team. And when they get Kershaw back, and I think this team's, well, whatever, this team's just going to be better than everybody else. But that just makes it so that every game is that much more meaningful, even when you have a division and a playoff guaranteed to make it. But you don't want that one game playoff. I guarantee you that.
I'm going to start with my 2-minute rant to start the year here. Yesterday in college football, ECSI went 3-1. Okay. And I'll do my rant after this. We were Fresno State -16 first half, 28-0 there. We were on Fresno State team total over 44. They win 45-0. We were on UConn team total under 17.5. They get shut out. Now the rant. Okay, so social media, public trendy dog, the lock of the year. And I have to witness it in front of my eyes yesterday. The whole world had Illinois. We talked at length. That line opened at 9.5. All the problems going in Nebraska. Line dipped to as low as 6.5. Now, to all the people that didn't watch the first half, let me just give you the crib notes here. Bonehead play number 1 for Nebraska. Fielding a punt inside the 1, getting tackled in the end zone, 2-0 Illinois. Nebraska comes down and scores a touchdown. 6-2 Nebraska, missed the extra point. Thanks for playing. So the special teams have already cost Nebraska 3 points there. Okay? Now, Nebraska next holds them. Next drive. Marching down the field, not one but 2 wide open receivers for a touchdown. Martinez could not hit water if he jumped out of a boat. Okay, that's how bad he is. Okay, settle for a field goal, 9-2. Illinois' next drive, 3rd and long, interception. Nebraska, ball to be on the Illinois 35, and I'm going to tell you right there. A touchdown there, game's over. Just the way the Nebraska D was playing. Then the phantom flag comes, roughing the passer for 15 yards. And then let's add 15 yards for taunting. So now we have a 30-yard penalty. Okay? Illinois comes down, scores 9-9. Okay, 1.5 to go. We're going to try to run out the clock. We're at the 50. And what happens? Martinez fumble. Illinois picks up and runs in, touchdown. 16-9 Illinois at the half versus Nebraska. Honestly, without piling on here, should have been 14-3 or 17-3 at half. Illinois scores again. Nebraska now 2 touchdowns. The rest is history. So there's my vent there. So everyone that had the Illinois ticket, which was the public trendy dog that the whole world was on, okay, God bless you. Congrats. Okay, but don't pump your chest out like that it was the side, that was the side you had to be on. That's all. There's my rant and sermon for the day.
Yeah, these college football games are interesting, and they're fun. They can make you pull your hair out if you still have some. But the reality is these are 19 to 23-year-old kids, and they make all kinds of mistakes, and it's hard for me to. I get emotionally attached to all this stuff too, but it's hard for me to get to a point where I get so crazy about a college football game because I realize these are young kids, and they're going to make mistakes, and they're not paid professional athletes, or at least not yet. So as it goes along, it's a different sport than when I watch the NFL. The NFL is very systematic. The approaches are are geared to take advantage of an individual matchup one at a time on each different play. Whereas, college football, the kids are different, right? So you recruit better kids than other teams have, and the size differences and the speed differences and all that stuff. Now, I watched some of that game. Slept through some of that game, but I watched some of that game, and I saw those plays that you were talking about, and it just seemed to me that that Nebraska team was playing pretty good defense for quite a while, but that Illinois offense just kept punching them and 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 punching them, just running the ball. And yeah, they could stop them every so often, but they just got, at one point in time, I think the time of possession advantage was almost double to Illinois, and it just wore down that team. And once that team was wore down, you could see the game shift. And yes, there was a lot of different things that happened that kept the game within reason for Illinois, especially early in the game. And then as they got the momentum in the game and carried it forward, I thought it was a collapse, so to speak, from Nebraska, because there's one thing in life that separates athletes and business people and everything else, and that's tough-mindedness. You could have the same talent level, the same speed that you run, the same amount of weight you can lift, all that stuff, and the difference between the humans is how tough-minded one is and resilient and dogfight in them than the other one has. And I'm starting to believe that that's a Scott Frost problem, because I don't think Nebraska has it, whereas some of these other teams do. And Bielema, that's his first game in Illinois. So how can he get those guys that way when the Nebraska 4-year, this is his first year with all his recruits, that he can't get those guys to buy in to the degree in which they need to. So, we talked about it. I was on Illinois, so I mean, I'm happy on my side, but I'm not running around going crazy. I recognize what has happened. Like what I do is go look at and look at the yardage and look at the different things. And Nebraska outgained Illinois by I think it was like 40 yards, something like that. Not a lot, but at least some. Turnovers were even, but there was some significant game-changing, momentum-changing plays in that thing. That roughing the passer call. I didn't see it at first, and then they showed it from another angle, and I guess the kid drove him into the ground or whatever, but I don't know. I saw that, but you had to see it 3 or 4 times on camera before you even seen the damn penalty. And then, to capitalize that with a taunting foul or whatever. And, those passes that Martinez missed, I feel bad for the Nebraska kid because the guy's wide open. I mean, it's not that I could throw it there, but I mean, it's one of those things where you're a quarterback in Division I football. You should be able to make those plays. Their best offense was him running the football. And I'm not going to be surprised if that's not their best offense for them all year. And I don't think that's going to work in the Big Ten.
No, and I'll close with this on the NCAAs. I applaud. I've said this. I'll say it for the last time. I bled, not bleed. I bled red back in the days with the Tom Osbornes, the Irving Friars, the Sea of Red, the true Nebraska teams. And they had some great runs in the 90s as well. Such a powerhouse, Lincoln closes, the town closes on game day. If you didn't get it Friday morning or Friday night, you're not getting it on Saturday when it's game day. And I applauded the Scott Frost hiring. I says, okay, look what he did at UCF. Here's a guy that should have the same passion, the desire. We're in year 4 now. It's all his kids. And again, they're being investigated. I said sarcastically for practicing in the cornfields during the COVID, when they weren't supposed to be practicing, yada, yada, yada. He had a press conference earlier this week. There's a lot more turmoil going on there. You can see it already in his face. He knows he's in the hot seat. And then how that first half ended, it was clear as day. Martinez really wasn't the answer there, but he has nowhere else to go. The wide receivers, and they said this a lot yesterday, no separation. So the DBs and stuff are playing jammed up. Martinez is like a Cam Newton type where he good quarterbacks catch these guys on stride. Yeah, you throw an occasional bad one, but when you're just way to the left, way to the right, bending down to pick them up, he just doesn't get set, throws off the back foot, and his best offense is again to run the ball. And I just in the mindset think of like an Ohio State, a Wisconsin, a Penn State, and unfortunately now it's already will Frost make it through the season, and I think they're in bed with him here. You got to let if you didn't make a move in the offseason, you're stuck here. What good is it to pull the cord now unless you think his assistants or something can do the job? But again, it's good to see some college football back, and we'll have a bigger slate on as we progress throughout the week here. We're going to bounce to the MLB right now. Yesterday, favorites 11-4, overs 2-11-2. The big dogs are cash. The Cubs plus 220, Twins plus 132, and Angels plus 112. And we were on the other side of the Padres and Weathers, and again, a team that finally got a nice win on Friday. And I know Weathers isn't one of their aces, and Suarez had been pitching better for the Angels, and down 3-0, they cut it to 3-2, and then again a catcher's interference, and next thing you know, it's 5-2, and then the rest is history. But overall, Scotty, your thoughts on anything yesterday in MLB?
Well, I thought that there was some games that mattered. I thought that the Giants playing the Braves, and the Giants lost. I thought that was an important game for the Braves. I thought that the Oakland A's win over the Yankees was an important win for Oakland because they've been falling fast. And if they want to stay within whatever Boston numbers are, they got to start winning some games. And it doesn't matter who you're playing, you got to start winning some games. So I thought there was some significant wins that way. And the other thing that's starting to resonate with me is not that there's going to be anything for them this year, but those Detroit Tigers, I think, are battle tough right now, and they're fighting every team they're playing. Obviously, those teams are going to be better than them, but they're fighting them tooth and nail. And I wouldn't surprise me to see that the Detroit Tigers would make it to 500 for the season. And if they would make it to 500 for the season, Jeff, I mean, there was no way that anyone would see this, that the Detroit Tigers at 500. I mean, I would rather have said Cleveland Indians are going to be 500 or the Kansas City Royals are going to be 500 before the Detroit. I mean, it's great that they're making this little push and how they're doing, but they're 6 games under. They're 62-68. That's what their record is. And I can't say enough of what AJ Hinch is doing. And they got no pitchers. I mean, they got Mize that has been pitching pretty well, and they got Skubal, and who else they got? They got nobody that can pitch.
They have a man named Alexander, but don't call me Doyle.
Yeah, he's like an opener guy. I mean, he pitches 2-3 innings and then he goes out. So this is all smoke and mirrors for Detroit right this minute. But if they could get some free agents to play with some of the guys that are going to be coming up in the minor leagues, they're going to have something there. And we'll just see what happens to that team. And it's kind of interesting that they get Boyd back today to pitch, and I'm pretty interested in that game. I'm afraid to pull the trigger on him because one of my things is I don't like to bet on the pitcher the first game back off the IL. So I'm not. But as a lean, I don't mind. I don't mind anybody leaning against Barrios, because you got to remember, Barrios pitched for the Twins, so the Twins and the Tigers are in the same division, and they've seen him a billion times. So that's not going to be a surprise what he throws up there, and he's not performing at the level that he was when he was with Minnesota. So they're not going to get the best Barrios either. So that puts them in a live dog spot for me.
Speaking of that, we'll go to the market right now. I checked 5 boxes today. Maybe some thoughts on these 5. Then we'll get to your leans and your picks for today. What caught us for some big overnight moves? 110 Cincinnati at Miami. Male versus Luzardo, who has been just trash since they got him. And following Craig Mish on Twitter, and he just after every start, we know what the expectations are, but are we going to see him this year? And I sent him something. I was like, yeah, 2022 spring training, I said, and I got an LOL out of it. But since he opened at 155 right now, last night, currently 188 at Pinnacle as we speak there. So there was a big move there. Going to your land, Tampa Bay at Baltimore, Archer versus Watkins. Tampa opened at 204, now 230. Baltimore stung us last night. We had the team total over 3.5, and we get beat by the hook. Thank you. They land on 3. Your game you just talked about, Toronto at Detroit, Berrios versus Boyd. Toronto opened 155, now 177. Kansas City at Seattle, Singer versus Gonzalez. Seattle opened at 160, now 148. So a little sharp action on the Royals. And last but not least, the Cubs versus the White Sox, Hendricks versus Cease. Cease opens at 193, steamed all the way to 240. So that was the overnight openers and some movers and shakers this morning. Anything pique your interest there, Scotty?
Yeah, I'm on one of those games, and I had to try to figure out how to play it. So I like the Reds today, and I like Melee today against Luzardo. I'm not sold on Luzardo. Luzardo's got some issues. Well, something's wrong, and it's not his velocity. He's still throwing 95 miles an hour, so there's no issues with his velocity there. But what you run into here with Luzardo is that being that he hasn't made it through 3-4 innings, it's not one of those where you can anticipate that he's going to. So when you start to think about what he's done and what his numbers look like, he's 37 on a game score year to date, and those are all basically starts with Miami. He's over his last 7 starts is a 30 on a game score. He's got a 5.87 Sierra number, and that's just not very good. His walk rate's a little bit high. His strikeout rate's low. He's ground ball rate's low. Batting average against is high. So it's all these things that he's going to put guys on base. So opportunities to rest with the Reds. So now you have to figure out how to play it. So looking at it, you can play the team total over 4.5. But I decided to play it in the first 5 innings, taking the Cincinnati Reds at minus 135, minus a half a run on the run line there. The other things that you had mentioned in that was the Tampa Bay Rays. And when I made my line today, I have the Tampa Bay Rays minus 300. So I think there's value in the Tampa Bay Rays, even though they're minus 240. So if you don't mind playing the bigger number, I think there's value there. You're going to get the Rays and Archer. Archer hasn't pitched more than 2 innings yet on his time back out, but his Sierra number is a 2.3 and his xFIP's a 1.3. So you're running into Watkins, who's one of the worst pitchers in baseball right now, with a 5.2 Sierra number, but his win probability added number is minus 1.45. So that's really bad. So as you're going along, and what you're trying to figure out here is, how do you play the Rays? And I don't think you want to mess with the run line and all that stuff. Just play them minus the 240 if that's what you think you're going to do. I know that's not necessarily what the best thing to do is, but if you did it that way, then at minus 240, there's still value that way. The Detroit Tiger play is, as we talked about, I think is the right side. But I just don't go against some of my principles, and one of them is I don't bet on pitchers off of the injured reserve. So this is his spot where he's off the injured list, and I think that what you're going to run into, I think the last time he started was June the 14th is the last time that he started a game. So I don't like that game where you're going to have Boyd in that spot. Who knows what you're going to get. The Kansas City Royal game was an interesting one. I had originally laid it out that I wanted to play Seattle, and then I crossed it off. I crossed it off for a couple of reasons, but I don't like Singer's numbers right now, and I like Gonzalez's numbers. But there's the Singer could easily be the ace of that team. He's got good stuff. He just hasn't been pitching very well. So I backed off of that game, and that Chicago Cubs game that you talked about, and the White Sox game. I don't, Dylan Cease is something else. That guy is as good as Lance Lynn is, or he's as good as some of those other guys, as good as Giolito. So when you think about what you're running into, you just got to figure out how to try to play the game. And I don't care what Hendricks comes up, whether he's the good Hendricks or the bad Hendricks, he's still a soft tosser. He's going to give up the batted ball. And anytime that you have an advantage with a batted ball versus a non-batted ball, you got to take the non-batted ball side. And that's where you're running into Cease. So it's just a matter of trying to figure out how to play it. I think he's overvalued because I think that the line's too high for him. When you think about it, what is it, minus 200 or something for Dylan Cease today? That's a lot. So I think that there's other plays that make more sense. So I don't mind riding certain plays with steam, but I really don't want to ride that one.
Yeah, that's all the way up to 240, 250. I think it also might have something to do with, I think the Cubs now have won the last two, or they won yesterday. I know, was it Thursday? They scored 6 in the first, and they lose 17-14, or was that Friday?
I think that was Friday.
Okay. So then the Cubs games. Okay. So, again, and it's Sunday. It's Quicksand Sunday. Here at ECSI, we're down a handful of units today. So again, I'm not going to release 3-4 games at, 1 unit apiece, hope to go 4-0. We're going to try to cherry pick this and put together what we call as our 3-team Sunday action parlay. Look usually for some numbers with 2 favorites, try to cherry pick the dog to get some value there and then take our swing there. So, again, the power move with Cease, Hendricks is sneaky, though. You can get the Hendricks that gives you 6-7 strong there. As you said, Cease has been lights out, but again, a rivalry, cross-city game, you might want to just, grab some popcorn and enjoy it. There's always a lot of landmines on Sunday, and it's a day, again, where, just quickly looking at the board, Luzardo has been so bad. Male for the Reds does look viable there in a win situation. You don't know what Berrios you're going to get. I'm kind of surprised to see that number moving that way, honestly. Greinke's always a lightning rod. His name, especially for the public and the D-Gens. Oh, Greinke's pitching. Oh, let's go play Greinke. And then, myth, maybe a myth. I don't know what you want to call it. Long winning streaks after they're finally snapped. you usually go back against them again. And I know that's going to find, people are going to scratch their head. The Yankees coming off a 13-game winning streak get snapped yesterday. Most people with the mentality is, they're going to get back on the horse and win today and win the series. I don't think they've lost the series since the All-Star break. Blackburn versus Montgomery. So, Lanes, anything that the Scotty Webb board is firing in on today?
Yeah, I already talked about that Reds game, and I'm going to play Maile today, and I'm going to play him at the minus a half run in the first 5 innings against Luzardo. The other one that I think is sort of overlooked here is Ashby's pitching for Milwaukee today, and he's been lights out in his few little starts that he's had. He's an opener type, so he's only going to go 2 or 3 innings in this game. So I'm going to make sure I play it first 5 innings. So I'm really betting on him, and I'm betting against Jax. So I think you saw him in Boston there not too long ago and beat him up pretty good. Jax is one of those guys. He's got a 5.29 SIERA number, only a 16% strikeout rate. So balls are going to get put in play. And he's a 2.3 home run per 9 innings guy with a hard hit rate of 41%. So that's pretty high. And that just means that there's not much swing and miss. And with Ashby, you got a lot of swing and miss. So he's the highest on the board today with CSW, which is the called strikes plus swings and misses at 37%. So it's an amazing number for him. He's got a 44% swing and miss rate on pitches outside the strike zone. So think about that. 45% of the pitches outside the strike zone people are swinging at, and they miss. So that means they just can't read what he's throwing. So he's got good stuff, or the stuff that he's throwing has great movement, and they can't hit it. So what I like here is I like the idea that Ashby's going to throw really well in his first 2-3 innings. So whoever else they put in behind him in Milwaukee's, we know Milwaukee, they got a good bullpen, and they got to scratch out a half a run. So I'm good with this play, and they're minus 115. I don't know if that's the number right now, but that's what I got it earlier. Hopefully it's still about the same, but I got Milwaukee minus 115 in the first 5 innings, minus a half a run. And then the other game that I'm going to play today is a dog play, but it's a small dog play. I'm going to bet the Giants today, and I'm going to bet them against Anderson and again against the Braves. I don't think of it as like a big Brave move or anything like that, but I look at it like DeSclafani's not been pitching that great. He's at a 47 or 40. I'm sorry, 47. Over his last 7 starts, but he's a 55 on the season. But I'm going to get against Anderson here, who's coming off of the injured reserve. This is his first time since July the 11th that he's going to make a start. And I think DeSclafani's just one of those guys that he still throws hard. He just finds a way to get it through. And the Giants just find a way to make runs. So when I lined out the game, I actually have the Giants as a favorite, and the Giants are actually an underdog. So I'm going to go with what my line says, and I'm going to bet the Giants today on a full game. I'm not going to bet it as a first 5 or anything. It's full game, and I think I got plus 110. Giants plus 110 in DeSclafani. I got Milwaukee Ashby minus the half a run in the first 5 innings, and the Reds minus a half a run in the first 5 innings.
All righty. There's some NFL action today, preseason dress rehearsal. I don't know what you want to call it. I'll close with there was some a handful of moves which I just want to give to the listeners now that might be getting froggy and want to take a scratch here. Give me 1 second here.
It's interesting today when I was doing the research on some of that stuff. The quarterback in Cincinnati is going to start up tonight. He's going to play limited, but he's going to get his first game action since he blew his knee apart.
Yeah, so the 1 o'clock kickoff, Jacksonville at Dallas. Dallas opened at 1.5. Now Jacksonville minus 4.5, which is intriguing. And now, of course, my page wants to move. Hold on, sir.
Well, you know what's interesting about that Jacksonville game? Looking at that one, there's reports coming out of Jacksonville that 4 out of the 5 starting offensive linemen might not play in that game, not because they don't want to play them, but it's because they're either hurt or they have COVID or there's something else going on. And Urban Meyer said he wants to play the starters for quite a while on that one.
And there was one other move that I wanted everyone to be aware of. Miami opened up minus 2.5. Now Cincinnati minus 2. That's a 4:00 kickoff. San Fran, Las Vegas. San Fran opened at 1.5. Now 5.5 against the Raiders. The Pats opened at 4.5. Now 3.5 against the Giants. And Cleveland opened a 7-point favorite. Now 6 against Atlanta. So also want to just give everyone a heads up here that might be doing some window shopping for September 9th, the opening day. Dallas travels to Tampa Bay. And Tom, and you know something? I had a guy on a show earlier last week, and he talked about it. And this is just how sometimes I have blinders on, and it's hard to explain, Scotty. Brady, after a championship, would always be a home. They'd be a 6.5 point favorite against the Steelers 2 or 3 times. And then they were 6.5 point favorites against the Chiefs a couple times. And they almost enticing you the whole time to take the dog. Let down, banner night, ring night, whatever it is. And every game the Patriots won by double digits or more, but one. And that one was a last second Steeler touchdown where they weren't playing any D. And I think it was Antonio Brown too. But my point is this one opened at 6.5. And the thought process in my head was, assuming the public's going to take that to at least 7, the magical number. Well, Chris has got it at 7.5 right now. Westgate Circa 7.5. Caesars has bumped it now to 8. 8 points.
So let me ask you this question. So if you think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is at least a top 5 defense, it might be the best defense in football. But if you're going to take that team and you're going to have them play at home, and they're going to line up against the Cowboys, who have a decent offensive line if they're all healthy, but they're going to have a quarterback that hasn't taken a snap, basically all season. He's got a rest in his shoulder. He's doing this. He's doing that. You've got a little bit of a running game with number 22 back there, but the reality is Tampa Bay's they're one of the best run defenses in football. So then on the other side of it, you've got a defense that's like 24th, 25th in the NFL. The reason that Dallas has a good chance to win and should be the favorite to win the East, the NFC East, is because they got a good offense, but they can't stop anybody. So everybody else in that league has a bad offense. So that's the differentiator, right? The differentiator for Dallas is in the NFC East, they can play offense. None of them can play defense except Washington, but they can't play offense. So now you line them up against a very well-rounded, very fit, ready to go Tampa Bay team. I understand the move. I would think that that's a situation where you're going to have this quarterback back there coming in off a hurt shoulder. He didn't play. Got hurt last year, and then what do you do if he's not going to play? Well, what would you make the line then? 10. So I'm just going to assume that this number is only going to grow. So I'm okay with that. I like Tampa Bay to win by double digits in this game. I don't think Dallas is going to be competitive in this particular spot. That doesn't mean they're going to not be particularly competitive in other spots, but not in this one.
To all the listeners, thank you. If you got a second, just turn your notifications on. Um, Give us a follow on Twitter, on social media. You can follow myself, obviously, at EC Sports Invest. You can follow Scotty at Webby20MLB. If you got 5 more seconds, jump on over to YouTube, East Coast Sports Investors. Give us a follow there and on Twitch at East Coast Sports Investors. We have some big things brewing for the fall. Hopefully, some live streaming and in-game wagering and thoughts there. Always, always, always bet with your head, not your heart. If you got a problem, reach out and call someone. There's an 800 number and plenty of people there to help. So, from myself and Scotty, have a blessed day. Good luck wagering today. Always, always invest amongst your means. Don't get over those ski tips. And remember, tomorrow's a new day, a new week, and a new beginning. And we will see you tomorrow at the same time.